Time to fix Tinubu's chaotic presidency. Wow, so who is writing this? Okay, so now a lot of people now know that Tinubu's presidency is chaotic, right from election time to when he was declared president and to the presidential election petition tribunal, okay, and also up to the Supreme Court and all to all these Chicago State University saga, and his issue about identity theft, issue about his certificate forgery, issue about drug dealing in the U.S. and several other things. So obviously, it is now quite clear to everybody that his presidency is chaotic, and it's still chaotic, even though it looks like he's winning or things are beginning to be quiet, but it is not quiet. It is an uneasy quietness, I tell you. But let's dive into the details and understand what the writer is trying to share with all of us. Now that the fear of the Supreme Court is gone for the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration, this seems to be the right time for the president to fix the chaos that has taken some steam out of the awesomeness that is usually inherent in presidential palace. I tell you that they don't have peace. They don't have. They are not jubilating. They are still, even in the midst of the victory, they are still worried. Okay, doubtless there have been too frequent dissonance and crisis of coherence in the office of the president, and this is not good for reputation management. It is too easy for his reputation managers to be running around to control damage that can be quite challenging in this digital media age when information travels at the speed of light. It is Nigeria's presidency, and we have a responsibility to counsel for its stability before it is too late, or is I'm trying to say. So besides, it is not too early to claim that the president's men are not collating the groundswell of opinion on how to fix the presidential bureaucracy and the public sector. This is about 25 years of unbroken democracy and the institutions of governance, including the presidential bureaucracy, that should set the one for efficient management of the public service. Shouldn't be this wobbly and brittle. This column has, since 2016, contained more than 20 contextual commentaries on the expediency of a strong presidential bureaucracy. Okay, so the bureaucracy of presidency organically comprises the office of the secretary to the government of the federation, the office of the head of civil service of the federation, and the office of the chairman of the Federal Civil Service Commission. These three offices are creations of the Constitution of Nigeria. So the Obasanjo administration disrupted the presidential bureaucracy when he added the office of Chief of Staff to the president as part of the personal staff to the president. The Yar'Adua administration, 2007 to 2010, scrapped the Chief of Staff post, while President Goodluck Jonathan, 2010 to 2011 to 2015, reinstated it, and the office existed till present. So the presidential bureaucracy today exists with the office of Chief of Staff, and the officer, okay, can artfully hijack the presidential bureaucracy with or without the consent of the president. This is where the dissonance that can set off a chaotic bureaucracy in the office of the president occurs. In the last administration of President Buhari, for instance, there were instances when the chief of staff signed letters of even transfer of permanent secretaries instead of the head of the civil service of the federation, just as we have seen in the current administration, whereby the special advisor to the president on media and publicity has been announcing presidential appointments without details of the appointees. This is the remit of the office of the secretary to the government of the federation, who is the secretary to the Cabinet Council, head of the Cabinet Secretariat, and secretary to the Security and Defense Council. So there are 7 offices headed by permanent secretaries in the SGF's Office, Secretary to Government of Federation's Office. These offices include Special Services Office SSO, with a responsibility for managing the bureaucracy of defense and security services of the Federation. The SSA Media Office, since the Buhari administration, has been usurping the duties of the Minister of Information too. This has been due to the curious chaos in the presidential bureaucracy that lost its mojo during the past post-Yaradua administration. So when a politician who had no solid civil service background was appointed to the office of SGF, this is the origin of the current chaos and at present and clear danger to the polity. So what is more curious? Why has the presidential bureaucracy become so ordinary to the extent that the president had to announce directly the ban of his son, among other non-members of the Executive Council, from the council chamber? How did the stranger stray into the Federal Executive Council chamber? What happened to organizational efficiency in the office of the SGF and indeed the presidential bureaucracy? What is responsible for embarrassing withdrawal of appointments of people into federal public service these days? Ministerial nominees and even nominees to the Federal Civil Service Commission have been withdrawn. Who supervised the budget details of the controversial 5 billion naira worth of presidential yacht in the noisy 2.2 trillion worth of supplementary budget? Can you imagine? How did the office of the First Lady surface in the purchase of SUVs for the office of the president? How did it take a senator to tell Nigerians that the yacht had been paid for before the outcry? Was the Navy unaware of the delivery without payment that would have been explained before the Senator Ndume's revelation? Where was Senator Ndume too when the National Assembly was talking of transfer of the yacht's 5 billion naira vote to the students' loan ahead or subhead? So when did the office of the president know about the controversial yacht? Where were the concerned ministers and the presidential bureaucrats when the details of the supplementary budget were being prepared? Now, wow, this one is a very serious one, I must tell you. So a lot of things about the presidential bureaucracy is a big problem now, and people are was up